Gaming mice are some of the most subjective pieces of technology to review. Then again, every recommendation could be argued as quite subjective and difficult to recommend. But when it comes to gaming mice and just like peripherals in general, this phenomenon to me is trifold. Like a mouse needs to be right for you, like a wand in Harry Potter or a nice suit. It needs to be an extension of your being, comfortable and integral to your movements so that you can get the best performance in the games you play, or just the best comfort if you're gaming for a long period of time in a long gaming session. You need to be in tune with your mouse for these to happen, and that's why for the past year and a half I pretty much never reviewed any gaming mouse. I've pretty much found my daily driver, my end game, my quote-unquote perfect gaming mouse. For me, this is the Logitech G102. It's $30, it's lightweight, it's well balanced, it's a simple beast. Yes, it looks like an office mouse. It doesn't look like a gaming mouse except for the RGB, but I absolutely love it because the shape, which is the most important part in a gaming mouse, is perfect for me. It fits my hands perfectly and has the right amount of comfortable and uncomfortable to keep my hands sharp in game. Now this is extremely personal obviously, but the shape of the G102 is pretty much my favorite and might be some people who's watching this favorite. Now this is extremely subjective, and it is for you it might be very, very different, but for me it is. So when it came to the G304 or the G305, depending on where you live, it's called differently. I'll just call it the G305 for the sake of this video. It's the G102 or the G Pro, the first generation G Pro, but wireless. So technically it should be perfect for someone like me, right? Well, there are definite changes, however, because as Logitech changed the G102 to a wireless mouse, there were some trade-offs and also some advantages to this transition. Now this video will focus on the changes that has happened as a result of this conversion to being a wireless mouse, but we will still talk about my general experience with this mouse. So even if you are someone who's not used the 102 or the Logitech G Pro, you can still learn a lot about the G305. So keep watching this video. Once again, before we start any review or any video, I'd like to say if you have any questions you want to ask, hit me up on Instagram, Discord or Twitter, linked in the description below. These are the best ways to reach me, so just message me there. But if you want to be featured at the end of next weekend's video, well then comment down below and I'll reply and react to your comment next weekend's video, at the end of next weekend's video. And hopefully, you can get to see yourself being featured and all that. So that's how you can reach me. Let's start with the video. Well, now I want to talk about the things that didn't change with the G305. It's got the same excellent, really well-tensioned clicks that feel amazing. Like these clicks, all they need is a light force to trigger them, which makes them very, very snappy and very quick to use. And they snap back into their starting position almost near instantly because of that well set up tension. It really is responsive and very fast feeling. Scrolls well for a gaming mouse, though there isn't that hyper scroll stuff from the G502, although I don't care about it. But if you like hyper scroll, it doesn't have it, probably to save weight. And the shape is precisely how I like it, the exact same as the G102. Now I've talked about the G102 shape in its own review, which I talked about earlier, but I think I should reiterate my thoughts here since I've actually used it for a few more months now, and I found that the shape is quite controversial among people I know. It tends to split people's opinion on whether it's comfortable or even a good gaming mouse shape, to say the least. It's got a very extremely simple, symmetrical office mouse style shape with the dimensions of 11.6 cm in length, 6.3 cm in width, and 3.8 cm in height. There isn't any lip on the side or concave sides or deep mouse click groove. There isn't grooves anywhere for your fingers to sit very deep into. It's literally just an office mouse shape. And while it looks uncomfortable, for me, it surely isn't. The bump on it isn't too high for me. The front of the mouse isn't too low. The curvature isn't too steep. It isn't too wide for the size of my hands. And for my grip, which is it is pretty much perfect for this grip, at least for my hand style. Now, for me, the lack of grooves or the lip or, say a rubberized material on the sides is perfectly fine. I grip my gaming mice really, really tight, so getting a good grip on it, it's not a problem. But if you're someone who wants a very ergonomic feel where it feels like your mouse is hugging your hand, then you really need to look elsewhere. Okay, so now we've talked about the general things about this mouse shape, clicks, and scroll wheel. Once again, if you want more elaboration on these points, watch my G102 video. I'll start with the physical differences between this and the G102 and the G Pro. So as always, we start with the physical differences. Now, material-wise, there is a slight difference in the material being used to make the G102 and the G Pro, as far as I know, and the G305. Now, it's a tiny change, but it's still noticeable. It's not like changing from metal to plastic. It's still plastic, but it's a different kind of plastic. Now, the G102 has this kind of thinner, filmier feeling plastic than the G305, and the G305 feels, it has this matte finish to it rather than a glossy finish that the G102 has. And I think this is probably because the G102 has RGB lighting and the G304 doesn't have RGB lighting. So the G102 has to use a different kind of plastic that allows light to shine through. So there is a difference in the material. And if I were to describe the differences in the material, I would say that the G102 has this kind of an ABS style kind of plastic, while the G305 feels like it's PBT, if you were to make an analogy. I'm sure it's not exactly those kinds of plastic, but it's just kind of a rough description in the differences. Oh yeah, and the G305 is not RGB of a gaming mouse. So if you are looking for an RGB gaming mouse, then you've got to look elsewhere. And the reason is pretty simple. It's running off a single AA battery or AAA if you use an adapter. And for a wireless gaming mouse running off a small battery to have RGB lighting, it's gonna have terrible battery life, so it doesn't have RGB, which makes sense. It also saves a lot. Now, when it comes to physical differences, one has to be aware the weight. Since we're talking about weight, there is a change in the weight of this mouse, the G305, as compared to the G102. So you see, in the world of gaming mouse, this is very important. Now, this is kind of controversial and a very contentious subject, as seen from my G502 video where I complained about how heavy it is, and I got a lot of hate on that video. You can check it out. But I'm a big fan of mice being as light as possible. To me, lighter mice feel better because they have less inertia, which increases the speed and acceleration you can move it, and it makes your aim faster with less strain on your wrists. And this isn't exactly a problem of strength either, as some commenters on that G502 video would like to point out, because they've never studied physics in a day of their life. They won't understand the fact that inertia is inertia. Yes, your increased strength in your wrist might overcome a heavier mouse, but if you're going for fast, fine, detailed movements, a lighter mouse will allow you to do it faster no matter how strong you are. It just is at the end of the day. And also, there's less strain on your wrist. It also glides faster because there's less friction between the mouse and your mouse pad because it's lighter. So there are advantages to a lighter mouse. Now, the disadvantage of a lighter mouse is generally fine-tuned control. So if you wanted to stop the mouse, it's going to be a bit more difficult because once again, it has less inertia. So you're going to have to work harder to stop the mouse exactly where you want it. Although one could argue that a heavy mouse has more momentum, so it's harder to stop. But the thing about heavy mice is that you won't be flicking it as fast as a light mouse anyway, so it's easier to stop no matter what. So yeah, lighter mouse, to me, better. So that's how I'm going to be looking at it this review. So for this review, I used the mouse as it was intended by Logitech with the mouse cover and the battery that came in the box. Now, I'm aware of the mods that I could do to this mouse. I've seen Reddit, such as with a AAA battery, drilling holes and just straight up not using the battery cover of the mouse. I've seen people do that and I plan to do that in my daily use. Maybe I'll make a video about modifying this mouse, but for now, I just want to be fair to the mouse, be fair to Logitech, and review it the way it was intended to be used. So keeping it default, the mouse weighs in at 99 grams with the G102 weighing in at 85 grams. But I think the G102 weight includes the cable, so if you reduce and not include the cable weight, you realize that the G305 is quite a bit heavier than the G102, and it is a noticeable difference. Of course, it is not so heavy that it feels like a G502, but it still is quite a weighty device. But the thing is, if you really wanted to get the mouse much lighter and much better balanced, then yes, you can do those mods, and generally can easily bring the weight of the mouse down to about 70 grams, which I think is still pretty reasonable and still quite close to the G102's feel. But if you're not going to do any mods, you have to be aware that this is actually heavier than the G102 or the G Pro, the first generation G Pro mouse. Now let's talk about balance. The G102 is an extremely well balanced mouse because it's so light and so simple of a design. It can be balanced very well. But the G305 is not at all. It's rare heavy as hell. It's like a rare engine Porsche 911 supercar, not supercar, sports car, due to the battery being in the back. It's a big fat AA alkaline battery slapped in the back, so the engine's all the way at the back. And this is going to be a big problem for people who grip their mice very lightly, because when you only hold the mice in the middle with, say, 2 fingers lightly, it's going to tilt unless you have a tight grip on it. And if you lift off your mice a lot and you grip your mouse quite lightly, that thing is going to be tilting and swinging all over the place because of the lack of balance. Now, this is not an issue for me because I grip my mouse very tight with multiple fingers pretty much at all times during a game. But if you are someone who has a light grip on the mouse and tends to pick it up a lot, you have to be aware that it is kind of off balance. Now let's talk about the sensor in this mouse. Now that isn't really important nowadays because modern sensors are mostly great, if not perfect. The hero sensor in the 305 is technically an upgrade over the G102's cheaper Mercury sensor, but the reality of it is the 102 sensor is already nearly perfect, and the minutiae of difference between this and the G102 sensor is pretty much impossible for humans to notice. Now the hero sensor is a nice touch, okay? It's a nice touch. It's the same sensor found in the high-end G502s, the high-end G903s and all that stuff. It's based on the PMW 3389 sensor, which we have pretty much defined as a gaming community as the perfect mouse sensor, and essentially on its own the hero sensor is near perfect. Now the G102 didn't have these issues at all. The hero sensor also definitely doesn't have this issue. It has no issue with acceleration, no issues with liftoff distance, pixel smoothing, spinning out, and inconsistent readouts. It works straight out of the box, full marks. Like with this sensor, if you can't aim, we know it's because you can't aim. Okay, let's talk about features. And this is where, to me, the G304, G305 really impresses. To me, it's the biggest thing, and it impresses me a lot because it really shows Logitech's attention to detail with this mouse. Now, the little touches here and there are really what make me so happy with the G305. Because it might be a cheap gaming wireless option, but it does feel like there was actual design thought that went into designing this mouse. It wasn't just, oh, we're just going to take the G102 and put a wireless receiver in there and a battery in there. They actually did do proper design work on this, proper R&D on it, and that makes me very happy because even though it's a budget option, it has a lot of little kind of details in it that make me feel like, oh, this is going to be a pretty good mouse. Okay, so it has all the basic features such as software support with Logitech G Hub. Not a fan of that software, but they keep updating it and it's slowly improving, so okay, keep it up, Logitech. Not a fan of Logitech G Hub, but it's got software support at least, so you can reprogram all the buttons to whatever you want. There is a spot to put your receiver inside the mouse as usual, and it's great. It's got all those nice basic things right, so no problem here. But the attention to detail is what makes me really go, not bad. So things like the fact that they put an extra mouse feet at the back of the mouse on the bottom to support the rear weight bias of the mouse, things like that. I've never thought of it, but seeing it makes perfect sense, and I totally respect Logitech for putting it there because it really definitely helps the mouse glide better. Things like that, and also things like the little bumps on the battery cover so that you can pull it out easier. Things like that are awesome, and of course the general fit and finish of this mouse, the attention to detail, and very good. All the molding and lines are great. It doesn't feel like a $60 USD wireless gaming mouse. It feels pretty premium, and it's up there with their other wireless gaming mouse. In fact, I would say that this is a better gaming mouse than the G403, G603 or G903 if you like the shape. So how does it do the wireless part of the gaming mouse experience? Well, to me, really good. Now, there's no noticeable latency and no problems with lag on my end, and I think that's enough. If you want proof that it is capable of competitive esports, look no further than the pro players playing CS or Overwatch who are actually using this mouse in tournaments. It's very impressive. So wirelessly, it's as good as a wired mouse, and it definitely won't limit you in your performance because people are winning tournaments with this wireless mouse, no issues at all. And if you are really worried about interference, creating connection issues and lag, they do give you this USB male to USB female extension cable so that you can move the wires receiver that it comes with to a spot that is closer to your mouse so that you have less interference, so that the connection is more secure. Okay, so let's talk about the bad stuff then, because this video has been quite positive about the G305 and the G102. Well, it has to be, because I love this mouse a lot. You know, just be obvious. First, the switches. Now, they are 10 million rated D2FC F7N Omron switches. You don't need to know the model name. All you need to know is that they're Omron made, which is not that great nowadays, and they're only 10 million rated. This is compared to 50 million rating or 20 million rating on many other gaming mice out there, like such as Zoe or Razer or even Logitech's other gaming mouse. 10 million should be more than enough because the electronics usually die out before the mechanical parts of these switches do anyway. But relative to the more common 20mm and 50mm rated switches, some might not like what it means. But you know, they have to cut costs somewhere, and I know that, but at least the switches are made by Omron, which isn't the worst brand. But the thing is, to be honest, Omron hasn't been doing switches that well in the last couple of years, so you have to be aware of that. Now, there are quite a handful of reports that the G305, the G102 and many mice using this switch have double click issues, but the thing is, with every single Omron switch so far being on sale right now, it seems like all of them have double click issues if you're unlucky enough. Things like the G502, the G403, G603, all of them, Razer Def Feather, all of them have double click issues if you're unlucky and you got a bad batch of them. So the thing about Omron switches is that even the 50 million switches they make have had quite a number of double click issues if you do a bit of research. So it is semi-concerning, but the thing is, for me, I've never had an Omron mouse switch fail on me, so I guess I'm either lucky or that these double click issues are overblown because they are just anecdotal cases. The thing about these switches is that when you make hundreds of thousands of them or millions of them every year, there is going to be at least a few thousand of them that are going to be faulty and reported on the internet. And even though there are a few thousand, they are a very small percentage of the total switches being made. So yes, Huano's, Panasonic switches, they tend to have less reports of double click issues or issues with reliability online. This might either be due to confirmation bias against Omron, or the fact that Huano switches and Panasonic switches are so much more rare in gaming mice that these double click issues are just less common and less apparent, because even though the failure rates might be same or even higher on these brands of switches, the fact that there are just less gaming mice with this switch from other brands just mean that there are less faulty units discovered just because there are less of these switches available. Of course, if you think that these switches are more reliable, then you can easily mod it into this mouse. There are many guides online. You can find them on Reddit r/mouse review especially. They have a bustling community full of mouse modders. So if you really want to customize the switch and you get something in there that is reliable, that you can trust, you can mod the mouse. You can't avoid Omron switches. Okay, second thing that I don't like about this mouse, battery life. It's not phenomenal, and yes, it does last a pretty decent amount of time, but as someone who never has spare batteries on hand, the fact that I have to change it every few weeks is kind of annoying, but I guess I have kind of high demands, so conclusion time, should you buy the G304? Well, if you already use the G102 and you love the shape, this to me is quite a no-brainer. To me, with modern mice, the most important feature and aspect of a gaming mouse is its shape. If you already love the G102 and G Pro's shape, then the G305 is an excellent upgrade, so long as you can look past the weight issues and the balance issues. If you are into modding, this is not as big of a problem, but if you are not planning to mod the mouse that you get, then you have to be aware that, okay, that it does have some issues with weight and balance, and it definitely needs to be put on a diet. But if you can look past those issues, if you're not into modding, then this is an excellent upgrade. It's honestly quite a no-brainer for a G102 or G Pro user, because it's got the same exact lovely little shape that I like. But if you're just someone who's looking for a wireless gaming mouse, then you have to be aware that the shape is probably the most important thing in a gaming mouse. Please hop down to the shops, try out the G102 or the G Pro or the G305 for yourself. See if you can get your hands on it, see if you like the shape of it in your hand, how it rests, how it feels when you pick it up, move it around. See if you can feel it, and if you have a chance to feel it, definitely do. That's the best way to make a decision on whether you like a mouse shape or not. So I've known for this mouse shape to be quite controversial, which is why I'm telling you to go out and try it. Because a lot of people want ergonomic mice that really grips their hands. A lot of people want mice that look like gaming mice with a lot of curves, like the Death Adder or the G502. Personally, not a fan of those kind of mice, which is why I don't like those mice. But for you, if you are into that kind of mice, then you should be wary of the design and the shape of this mouse, and go to the shops and try out the shape before buying it, just to be careful so that you don't waste 60 bucks on a mouse you don't like. Personally, I'm a big fan of this shape. You know, the nice dimensions of 11.6 cm by 6.3 cm by 3.8 cm, but this is subjective. So that's it for this video. That's all for this little review. I'm sweating buckets, as you can tell, because for better audio I needed to keep my room quiet. So I closed the windows and I turned off the air conditioning and the fan. So if you appreciate the work that I put into these videos, or if you found it helpful or enjoyable to watch, please like and subscribe. You know the YouTube drill, the standard classic YouTube drill. Just hit those buttons. It's free. It helps you, it helps me, and all that good stuff. Anyway though, thank you so much for watching. Before that, I actually need to react to some comments. So before I end off the video, let's react to some comments. So let's hop into YouTube Studio and let's read some of you guys' comments. Okay. On my G305 unboxing video, I got a bunch of interesting comments. So I got this guy called Not Romy. Sup Not Romy. He said he got this mouse this year and he loves it. All he needed was a wireless mouse that was okay for gaming, playing games, and a white one to match his setup. This mouse is perfect, so happy for you. This mouse I think is quite perfect for me. I think after I mod it, it will be even more perfect. So yeah, it's awesome little thing. My NYX Pretis put a full-on review of the TechWare Nova M case in my $800 Ryzen streaming PC build video, so thanks. He talked about pros and cons of the case. If you haven't seen my $800 Ryzen streaming PC in the TechWare Nova M case, if you're interested in the case or the PC, do check out that video. This little comment right here talks about pros and cons of all those things. Very, very nice to read. He has definitely some good points in here. I'm not going to read it out right now, but thank you for your contribution to the comment section. Okay, what other stuff? So Awesome Jojo got the black version of the G305, no regrets. The only thing that lets it down is G-Hub. The software is due tons of bugs. Yeah, okay, definitely agree with you. G-Hub not the best software, but glad that you love your mouse. Okay, what other comments do I have? Joshua T asked, will you ever take the risk to mod your favorite mouse, i.e. make it rechargeable? The answer is pretty simple. If I had the time to do so and the money to do so, I would definitely love modding. I'm a big fan of mods and customization, so yes. Okay, alright. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want to watch a review of the TechWare Nova M or the TechWare Forge M PC cases, I'm getting sent review units of the Forge M, and I'm gonna make a review of the Nova M very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, that's all for this video. Thanks for all your comments and all your good little nice words and stuff. Thank you for your contributions. Once again, if you want to be featured at the end of next weekend's video, comment in this video or the next video, and you'll be featured at next weekend's video. I absolutely love your contributions and appreciate you guys watching my videos. And if you want to have a quick chat, hop down to Discord or Instagram and I'm happy to message you. I think someone sent me a picture of their PC recently and I loved it. So just keep doing that kind of stuff. Absolutely love it. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. I'ma head out. See you soon. Subscribe.